Tree Coven, Tale of the End by Libby James, independently published, 2021. Sax Wiccan and demonologist Hadley Fernsby arrives back to her hometown, Wootton-under-Edge in Gloucestershire, with her husband. After not being back since her mother was killed by a demon 20 years ago, Hadley is ready to inherit her mother's wealth and her long-lost coven. Along the way, they encounter new friendships as they soon realize the simple market town Hadley thought she knew has always kept a deep, dark secret. Can love, friendship, and magic be used to overcome what is lurking in the town's local inn? Yeah, deep, dark secrets is a bit of an understatement. Hadley met her husband Jace in college through their work in what seems to be a paranormal investigation group. Now married and looking to start a quiet new life together, the couple moved back to Hadley's hometown where she has inherited her mother's estate in a little market town in the UK countryside. A quiet new start is not exactly what they get though, as paranormal events in the small town quickly come to their attention. Almost as quick is the realization to Hadley and Jace that no one else in the town is equipped to address the events, not even the local church that seems to act as more of a local governing body than it does a church. All of the events seem to culminate around a local inn. When Hadley and Jace make their initial inquiries there, they realize early on that this is no average haunting and are forced to regroup while at the same time keeping the horrified new innkeeper Cindy and her son Marty safe. The story itself has a great pace to it. It isn't too slow and it doesn't seem very rushed either. The pacing provides all the necessary information to answer all of the reader's questions, while at the same time keeping the reader engaged and turning page after page to see what is coming next. The characters carry the story very well. Hadley is a wonderful main character, one you easily become attached to, feel for, and continuously root for throughout the whole story. Although she spends the vast majority of the book dealing with the issues with the local inn, she is also dealing with her own personal demons of her mother's passing, while trying to come into her own personal strength in order to resurrect her mother's once powerful coven. Hadley was raised as a witch by her mother, but taken in by the church after her mother's passing. She begins a lifelong study of all things spiritual and arcane that the church has to offer, while never letting go of her Wiccan roots. This provides Hadley with all the knowledge she needs, and all of the turmoil that you could expect from it. Hadley's husband Jace is a demonologist. He has no powers himself, but a vast knowledge and a willingness to put himself in harm's way to protect those he loves. At first, it did seem a little off to me that Jace was always the first one to charge into danger. I mean, I get it, male hero persona and all, but you're surrounded by Wiccans with actual supernatural power. There's nothing wrong with saving yourself from injury and letting one of the women barge in and just light up the room first. But after realizing in one scene later in the book that Jace gets to sit back and watch the witches perform rituals in lingerie, I guess it's a small price to pay, right? I hear you, Jace. No judgment here. Carrie was a well-rounded addition to the group, although it did seem somewhat convenient. Carrie is another witch who owns an herbalist store in town and always seems to have in stock everything the group needs. Being one of the only other Wiccans in town, Carrie and Hadley quickly fell into a friendship. It seemed a little unbelievable to me that the town would have a shop like this based on the description of the town and the fact that the town seems to be more ran by the church than any other local authorities, but it didn't distract from the story. It was just a small observation that I had early on. Cindy is the owner of the inn and lives there in a small section with her young son Marty. Cindy comes across as a really believable character. The events in the inn quickly become too much for her and Marty to handle, and they are taken in by Hadley and Jace to share their home until they find a way to stop the haunting at the inn. While investigating what all could be at the root of the problems at the inn, Cindy develops a strong bond with Hadley and Carrie and begins to start learning Wiccan practices from them. I think her willingness to jump into witchcraft was a little fast as it's presented in the book, though. I would have liked to see more internal conflict from her with the decision, but that could just be a personal preference of mine. With everything she was going through and the fact that Hadley, Jace, and Carrie seemed to be the only ones willing to help her, I guess you can't really blame her for that. Marty is very well written and believable as a child. Marty's dialogue flows very natural as a child, and at times his speech patterns were more natural feeling than the rest of the characters. Overall, I really enjoyed this story. One minor complaint that I had was some of the grammar and sentence structure seemed a little off and blocky to me, but I told myself not to nitpick that too much. The author is from the UK, so I will not force my limited Southern American understanding of British grammar on her too much. In my younger days, I spent a lot of time reading and studying different pagan belief systems, and one reoccurring thing that kept jumping out at me in this book was the fact that though the characters professed themselves as Wiccan, they prayed to Odin and Freya. That was something I'd never come across in my previous studies, and it happened frequently enough in the book that curiosity got the best of me and I had to look it up. Come to find out, there is a branch of Wiccans that do venerate the Norse gods. So, there you go, Miss James. You actually taught me something new. White Tree Coven 2, Diabolism, is already out, and rest assured I already have it sitting in my to-be-read pile. You can expect something from that in the near future. According to her social media post, which I'll put in the description below, there is a White Tree Coven 3 already in the works. White Tree Coven, Tale of the End, was such a good story that I have no problem gearing up for part 2. And as long as the author doesn't lose me there, I will be looking forward to the release of part 3. I really hope you enjoyed my review of White Tree Coven, Tale of the End by Libby James. The plan is to regularly review small press and indie books that I find enjoyable. If this particular book sounds like something you would enjoy, I'll post a link to it in the description of this video, as well as social media links for Miss James so you can keep up with the progress of her series. Until next time, find yourself a good book and enjoy breaking away from reality. I hope to see you here again soon.